Meet Sam. Sam's here.
Hey, Sam.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going?
Good.
You seem really low, Micah.
I'm far away.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Is that better?
Yes.
Where are you, Sam?
I'm in Schaumburg right now,
Where is that?
in Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Just got here.
She just took a bus from Minnesota to Schaumburg this morning.
Oh, wow. Just to
Yeah.
record?
No.
Yeah, it's illegal to podcast in Minnesota.
Yeah. I'll get
what I
shot on
heard.
sight. How's New York? You're in there, right? You're in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm in New York. It's
Yeah.
getting colder out here, that's for sure.
I miss it.
Is that where you're from originally?
I'm from Chicago, and then I moved to New York for 4 years, and I just moved to Minnesota like last month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So my friend lives, I told you he lives in
Mason?
Minneapolis, but he actually lives in some suburb now because he bought a house out there.
Oh yeah. When I was starting to move out there, people were asking me, "Are you going to rent or buy a house?" Which, living in New York for 4 years was just a weird concept.
Yeah, you could never imagine that.
Like, what are you talking about? I'm not going to buy a house.
Yeah. Now you can, or maybe like a condo
Yeah.
in Minneapolis. In
Yeah,
the city.
for sure.
I like Minneapolis.
It's clean.
Yeah. They have some good
And
gay
Uber-
bars there too.
Yeah. And there's and Ubers are super cheap compared to just New York.
To the disappointment of my friend who Ubers there sometimes. I can't make enough money Ubering.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Well, I have a question though, unrelated. What is Robinhood?
It's a stock app.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You can like buy and trade stocks.
And then did Green Chef, did that only come in last week?
Why?
No, I don't care either way. I was just curious, like, because I
Actually,
saw Tiffany's email
Yeah.
and I was just,
It did. Yeah,
Okay.
it just came in 4 days ago, actually, it looks like.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
I got the box. I should have offered it to one of you guys.
No, I
up
know.
here, but-
I just wanted to make sure there wasn't an ad in here that I needed to read. And
Oh, no, you're good.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Sam. Didn't mean to.
Oh no.
Did you have any questions about the doc, Sam, or recording?
The only thing I was wondering about, I just really quick was Merope I don't think she's a squib.
No,
We're-
but she's called a squib.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to okay. I don't know if you were referring to like she became a squib or if she was being referred to as a squib. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Got it.
Because I mean, you're kind of led to believe she might actually be a squib, but then it's later clarified that
because Marveldo was like using it as more of a slur towards her.
Exactly.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eric's MVP of the week is Parcel Tongue. I thought it has to be a person.
Are we supposed to write our person in on the doc?
You don't have to, as long as you have it ready.
Oh, I have it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the only rule we do with this game is just don't, as long as it's not one of the ones that we chose.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Andrew, are you good with the bonus Mugglecast? I mean, we can.
Sorry, say that again.
I said, are you good with the bonus Mugglecast?
Oh yeah. I think that looks good. Thanks for putting that together.
Cool.
Next week I'm going to be in California, but I don't anticipate not being able to record at a normal time.
Okay. Yeah, you just let me know.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Are we? I can't really figure this out. Like, are we generally sticking on with Saturdays or Sundays?
I can't figure it out either, but either works for me.
Yeah, generally they work unless I have something planned later
Yeah.
or by like noon or something like that. So
Yeah, like I personally prefer Saturdays because it's like, hey, working Friday, also working Saturday, and then Sunday's like not working day. Whereas
right.
when we do Sunday, it's like, oh, I'm not doing
It also gives Eric an extra day for editing.
Right. Right. Eric was the first one to go home last night. We were like, what? And the last one to be on.
Well,
Good morning.
is he on?
No.
Oh.
Good morning, JY and Amanda. Amanda has a half marathon tomorrow, and frankly, not fast enough to make it here for 10 a.m. Well, good luck tomorrow.
Wow, half marathon.
Yeah, I can't do a half mile.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Like,
hate
what can I
running.
do? Not yeah.
I have to do like, I mean, I do go to the gym, but I do like elliptical or low impact stuff because I was running for a while on a treadmill and then I started getting shin splints. And I was like,
Ooh,
nope, this is not for me.
I have a thing where if I run outside, I tend to give up faster. Like, oh, there's Dunkin' Donuts. I'll just run there.
Yeah, you need inspiration. What's your inspiration?
Yeah, motivation, especially once it starts to get colder out, is
Mhm.
tough. It's tough.
So my new workplace, the gym's like inside the inside the office. So when it's slow, I can just go to the gym.
That's nice.
Good morning, all.
Oh, hey, Eric. Jesus, you're straight up laying down.
Oh, shit.
Oh, God.
I am beat. Ugh.
Meet Sam. Sam's on the line.
Hey,
Hello.
Sam, how are you? Hey,
Good. How are you?
not bad at all. Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
We hear that this is a chapter that, in particular, you enjoy and want to discuss.
Yes.
Yeah, it worked out good.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
I'm glad Irvin recommended you. And he was like, and she's a patron. I'm like, oh, well, that's a no-brainer.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, so everybody ready to go?
Yeah, should be. I got
Yep.
Facebook logged me out, so I couldn't get to the messenger. So I emailed myself a link, but I'm good now.
Okay. So let me start a new file. Are you guys recording? And Sam, you don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
Yeah, going now.
Okay. All right, fourth beat. 1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap.
Clap. Sorry.
1, 2, 3, clap.
Clap.
So Sam, how this will work is we'll intro ourselves and then I'll intro you, and then in the outro you can intro yourself. So I'm Andrew, I'm Eric, I'm Micah, and I'm Sam.
Okay.
Welcome to MuggleCast 390. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
Micah.
And we're joined by one of our Slug Club members this week, Sam. Hey, Sam.
Hey.
Sam, my name is Sam. You are living in Minnesota, but you are in the Chicagoland area this morning, right?
Yes, I am.
Cool. And you came at the recommendation of one of our friends, Irvin, who said, you got to have Sam on to talk about the House of Gaunt when you guys do that
boy.
chapter.
So I'm so excited. Irvin's the best.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Very, very smart when it comes to Harry Potter. So It's nice to have you on today. Let's get your fandom ID. In one breath, give us your favorite book, movie, Ilvermorny House, Hogwarts House, Patronus, and general Harry Potter experience. Like, what's a trip or show or fan moment that's really stood out to you?
I'm not a huge fan of the movies.
Okay.
Um, I have no idea. Viacom. I don't even know what the houses are.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hogwarts. I'm a Slytherpuff, but I lean more Hufflepuff.
Okay.
My Patronus, which is weird, it's a squirrel, and I'm petrified of squirrels.
Oh.
So that's fun.
Yeah.
And then experience. Last year I did 19 years later in London, and then this year I went to Scotland at the Hogwarts Express.
Wow.
And in Scotland, and then in New York I ran the Marauders discussion with Urban.
Very cool. So the 19 years later experience, can you just briefly, what is that exactly?
It was when Harry, in the last book, the epilogue, took his kids to Platform 9 3/4. So a bunch of us in New York City and my best friend in Chicago, we all met up in London, and we went to the train station and we counted down till 11 o'clock, and then we actually boarded a train in our Hogwarts robes and then went to a castle and had afternoon tea, and it was amazing.
That's awesome. Anyway, thank you again for joining us this week, and we'll talk about this chapter, The House of Gaunt, in a little bit. But first, one piece of news. So tickets for The Crimes of Grindelwald are officially on sale, and to celebrate the occasion, a new promo video, I guess you could call it a featurette, was released, in which J.K. Rowling talks about the plot of the film a little bit. And we're just going to play the audio because it's pretty interesting.
Grindelwald's been in jail in New York for a few months. The decision is made to move him back to Europe, where he has to answer for the crimes that he has committed, and inevitably he escapes. Credence survives. And for Credence, the big question now is...
I want to know who I am.
The path has been laid, and he is following it. The trail that will lead him to me.
The reason everyone goes to Paris, really, is Credence.
Credence may not know who he is yet, but he needs to be found. And I rather hope you might be the one to find him.
Dumbledore has to maneuver to try and stop Grindelwald's rise.
Dumbledore.
There is a new threat as Grindelwald mobilizes.
He's a master manipulator, and that is why he is so dangerous.
We're heading toward war. Everyone's choosing sides.
Things are becoming much more dark and complicated, and people's allegiances are now being exposed.
We must rise up and take our rightful place in the world.
We're now getting into the meat of the story, and everything gets darker and more intricate. Whatever you think you know at the end of the movie might not be the case.
So a couple interesting things there. First of all, a few months have passed since the last movie. I thought that was kind of interesting. That was the first time I think we found out exactly what the time jump is. And then everyone is going to Paris for Credence. I think we expected like a couple people were, but apparently everybody goes to Paris for Credence. What does that mean?
I'm wondering how they know that he is somebody, right? Like we know through the trailers and stuff that he's like a secret Lestrange or somebody who his father was, but I don't know how that's like just now everyone knows.
Yeah. What do you mean though? I mean, he made a pretty big spectacle at the end of the first film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That is a big question, I think. And then there's that one line from Grindelwald. You may not have known that it was him, but it does cut to him. Grindelwald is very interested in Credence as well, which I guess isn't a big surprise given what happens in the first movie. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems to all come down to Credence. I love that line from Credence where he just goes, "I want to know who I am." It's so deadpan.
Very emo.
Yeah, well, he's gonna.
J.K. Rowling set that up perfectly.
He's gonna be emo this whole movie, isn't he?
Mhm.
Nagini, you're kind of cool, but I want to know who I am.
One other thing, though, too, that I thought was interesting is we got the reasoning behind the title of the movie from J.K. Rowling, saying that he's being brought back to Europe to answer for his crimes.
Yeah. Still, though, like, I'm not loving this title.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a dumb title.
How do you feel about Fantastic Beasts on a whole, Sam? Do you
Oh,
like it so
I
far?
love the first one.
Yeah.
I'm starting to warm up to the second one. The last trailer, I really liked it,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It just seems like so much is going on that I feel like it might be a cluster.
It's a lot to wrap your head around. We'll see how J.K. Rowling pulled it off, but I'm getting more excited. Like that, I thought that featurette was very good, and it was nice to hear J.K. Rowling share some things. And hopefully, nobody really considered that stuff spoilery since they released it officially. You know.
Yeah. I mean, spoiler alert. These films are getting darker and more complicated. It's all getting darker, and war is coming.
It's only the second film, but it's getting darker.
Yeah, we're gonna hear that for the next like 8 years. It's getting darker.
There's not a family film in sight for Fantastic Beasts. I mean, remember when Harry Potter was a family movie? It was like, you know, I miss those days.
Maybe being darker in color.
Darker in color. Yeah. What's that? What's that Fallout Boy song? I need if there's something darker than black, I would wear it. That's gonna be in the next movie.
Oh my god.
What's it called?
It's gonna be My Immortal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would yeah. It's gonna be that song.
And
anyway.
Well, just speaking of Crimes of Grindelwald, we will be discussing some news in bonus Mugglecast at the tail end of the show for our patrons. We have some new information on our friend Yusuf Kama, as well as some new TV trailers that snuck in a few interesting scenes that are worth discussing. So that's coming up later on in bonus Mugglecast.
Also coming up, we have a Dancing with the Stars update, and we got some voicemails to listen to, and then we'll get to chapter by chapter. But first, I wanted to ask you guys something. We've all grown up together over the years, and something we may not have been thinking about when we were kids was making investments, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Who would have thought this would be a subject on this show 13 years later? But you should be thinking about investments. And here's the thing. Investing in stocks, funds, options, cryptocurrencies isn't hard. And that's thanks to Robinhood. Robinhood is an investing app that lets you buy and sell stocks, funds, options, and cryptos all commission-free. And they strive to make financial services work for everyone, not just the wealthy. By giving users a simple and intuitive design with data presented in an easy-to-digest way. Years ago, I dabbled in the stock market, and it wasn't very easy. There weren't apps for it, and the interfaces were clunky. They were really only for professional stock traders, the serious guys on Wall Street. But now Robinhood makes it super easy to buy and sell. In fact, you can place a trade in just 4 taps. And if you're wondering what you should invest in, Robinhood makes deciding easy as well. On their web platform, you can view stock collections like the 100 most popular stocks, the entertainment stocks, the social media stocks, and curated categories like female CEOs. While there, you can see analyst ratings of buy, hold, sell for every stock. And amazingly, Robinhood doesn't charge commission fees. Trade stocks. Let me try that again. Amazingly, Robinhood doesn't charge commission fees. Other services charge up to $10 for every trade. I want you to be thinking about your future and where you're putting your money. We can't spend it all on Birdie Bots, Scratch and Sniff books. So why not invest in the markets? We have a special offer for our listeners. Robinhood is giving listeners a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help build your portfolio. This is legit. We've tried it. We know it's real. Free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint. Sign up at mugglecast.robinhood.com. That's mugglecast.robinhood.com. Were you going to say something?
Just whoa.
Oh, whoa.
I wondered where we were going to have the conversation about needing to invest. So
it was inevitable. We're getting old. Anyway, so Eric, what's going on with Ivana on Dancing with the Stars?
So Ivana and Keo have made it to another week. They were actually, you guys, they were in jeopardy this week.
Oh, not enough people voted?
I'm still not sure. They got all 8s from the judges. It was trios week. And as I mentioned on last week's SmuggleCast during the Dancing with the Stars update, actress Scarlett Byrne joined Evie and Keo in dancing. It was trios week. So the 3 of them danced. They did a salsa to the song Black Magic by Little Mix. And, I thought it was good. Micah, what were your thoughts?
I thought it was good, but apparently they ended up in the bottom 2, but that was from the vote of the previous week, which is when they danced to Hedwig's theme. So hopefully they did enough to keep them safe coming up on Monday night.
Yeah, I guess they're using the votes from the previous week to inform the new week and whether you're in jeopardy or not. Bottom line is, I think not enough people are voting. So just shout out, I tend to tweet out the hotline number on Monday nights when it's time to vote, retweet from MuggleCast. Like, the number is on both Evie and Keo's social. Even it's weird to me still how their dancing doesn't affect their safe, like whether or not they're getting a limit. Like, they could be a great dancer. This is Dancing with the Stars. It's not a popularity contest, for crying out loud. It's a dancing contest.
They should have had one of us. Ivana should have invited one of us on for the trio week. I think we would have driven the votes.
Scarlett did great. On trios week, what usually happens is people utilize the advantage of having a second professional dancer.
Mm-hmm.
But Scarlett did fantastic. So, one thing that might be a saving grace going into next week, it's Disney week. And Ivana and Keo will be, it was actually announced there'll be jazz dancing, which, first of all, jazz dancing is awesome. The song, though, from Disney is When Will My Life Begin from the movie Tangled.
Can they do like a dance interpretation of like Credence's mood in this next movie? Like very emo and dramatic?
Yeah, once they get to like performance art week of Dancing with the Stars. Yeah, interpretive
I want to know who I am. Somebody tell me.
Well, I would say, Eric, the only challenge there, though, is even if they knock it out of the park on Monday night, they're being judged based on what they did this past week. So that's what confuses me about the show, because even if you do an amazing job, you're not being judged right in the moment on that particular performance.
You're getting scored on it in the moment, but whether you're safe or not seems to come from the previous week's votes. So at any rate, I think in general, the longevity of their art or their this, funnily enough, before we wrap up, I just wanted to say I did a search because I was like, I remember I saw somewhere that the song would be from Tangled, and all I did was search Luna Tangled or Ivana Lynch Tangled. It turns out that for a very long time, the internet has been sort of fan casting Ivana as Rapunzel from Tangled in like a live action, like, on Tumblr, you're just like, oh, my ideal, let's do the whole Disney live action thing. And I found there's just tons of fan art of Ivana Lynch as Rapunzel or Rapunzel as Luna. And it's just kind of fun to see. I didn't know this was the thing on the internet, but just a quick Google search turned it up.
Also, just want to give a quick plug for our latest giveaway on Patreon. I'm giving away a box of my Harry Potter crap. That giveaway is happening now. Sam, I hope you enter.
I'm going to.
Oh, good. It's 2 boxes of stuff.
Muggle
stickers, Harry Potter house, Hogwarts house socks, and MuggleCast t-shirts, and just a random giveaway. Do some spring cleaning. I can't hold on to everything, so I'm doing that. And then I think Eric and Mike are also going to give away boxes of crap as well. And we're calling it crap lovingly. It's just for fun. It's
and
good
then
stuff.
We're going to have the 3 people on the show that win the box of crap, and they're going to evaluate whose box of crap was better.
And then they're going to replace us entirely and host a show.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great idea. Gives us a week off.
Yeah. We are nothing but our boxes of Harry Potter crap that we've collected.
So again, that's over at patreon.com/MuggleCast. Let's listen to some voicemails now. This first one is a connection between Sorcerer's Stone and Deathly Hallows and a couple other things as well.
Hey, Mugglecasters, this is Gomeo calling from Japan. I'm listening to the Half-Blood Prince chapter episode, and you were talking about connections between the books. I just wanted to mention one connection you never brought up when you did book 7, the chapter by chapter, was that in book 1, the twins sing the Hogwarts school song to the tune of a funeral march, and in book 7, Fred dies. I don't know if I'm pretty sure you didn't talk about that. Also, you were playing a song whenever a character died, and I think you kind of blew it on Fred's song. I don't remember what song you played, but I think you should have played Freddy's Dead by Curtis Mayfield from the Superfly soundtrack. One more thing, you talk about Snape referring to the Horcruxes, but Snape didn't know anything about them. Dumbledore kept that from everybody but Harry. Love the show. Peace.
I had forgotten that we used to play songs when characters died. That's a great idea.
Can you pull up this song that he recommended, Freddy's Dead?
Yeah. Did he say Curtis Mayfield?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. This is the song that he wishes we played. This is too happy.
Yeah.
Oh, Fred was a happy guy.
That's what I say. Let the bell rattle plan say it sent him home, but his hope was a rope and he should have known. It's hard to understand.
Okay, well, we respect your choice.
Yeah, man. I feel like I'm on hold right now with like Comcast or somebody. I'm trying to lower my bill.
Yeah.
But it's one of those happy songs, which is like really infectious. Like there's not enough of that in this world, so
yeah.
I
think maybe I might be wrong, but maybe we used to play dramatic songs when these characters died.
Bit more, yeah. If Umbridge had died, we would have played like Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, but
celebrate good times. Come on.
Well, we played that on the show before, mostly around New Year's.
Yeah. All right, here's our next voicemail.
Hey, Mugglecast, guys, this is Chris again. Just got done listening to the newest episode about the quirky walrus, and I just had a quick thought. I was kind of curious what your guys' opinion would be or thoughts would be on how Hogwarts is ran today. Like, who would be headmaster, headmistress, if any of the old teachers would still be around, if there'd be any new teachers with students that we already know, such as Neville or Hermione. Kind of curious what you guys think about that, and if you could have a possible quick discussion about it. And my other thing is, speaking on the Newts and the Owls, I'm actually pretty glad to see that the teachers kind of have a dictation on where they go with their Newts, what their expectations are, because that breaks it down from student to student, and not just a standardized, this is what it has to be. Being that I was in high school probably about 10 years ago and we had standardized testing, I absolutely hated the fact of it because it wasn't about who the student was or what the student's strengths were. It was all based on what the government said, was it okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm glad to see it go that way. Let me know what your thoughts are. Yeah, you guys are doing awesome. Been listening for about 1.5 years now, and it's just absolutely amazing. Well, have a good one. Bye.
Thanks, Chris. That was the point I was getting at. We don't need these broad brushes being painted over who can take what classes. Let the teachers decide what's best for their individual students.
I like that. I think that definitely is the better approach, even though I know I raised the question last week as to whether or not there should be some sort of standard in place. But I like that, what he said about just working directly with the student, knowing their strengths and their areas to improve upon, and then just making a decision as to whether or not they're able to take that next level course. As far as the teachers still at Hogwarts, we know that Neville is there just based on, I think it's the epilogue, right?
Mm-hmm.
He teaches herbology. But I'd like to think there's still some professors who are around teaching their classes. I don't see why Slughorns couldn't still be teaching potions or McGonagall transfiguration. I mean, I'm disregarding probably a lot of information that's up on Pottermore right now, but
Is she head mistress when Neville is teaching?
that's a good question. I don't know. I do feel like there's probably some information on Pottermore about who is taking over officially as headmaster or headmistress.
Well, she must be, because she's the headmistress in the Cursed Child, when which 19 years after the school. So unless it was still, I mean, Snape wasn't. I think if
But is
McGonagall
that
came in,
being treated as the actual canon, though?
Yeah.
well, that's a question. But Cursed Child had a real opportunity to introduce some of these other teachers for different classes and didn't. Which is interesting, because it's the whole thing is set in the future. We could have figured out. I don't know if there's maybe a throwaway mention to another teacher that's going that Scorpius or Albus Severus are having to deal with, but it's mostly about the callbacks, not the world building call forwards they could have done.
I'd bet Professor Binns is still there.
Oh, he has to be.
It's a safe bet.
I think most of these teachers, as we learn in this series, they live for a really long time. These wizards and witches. So I think they hang around at the school long after the 7th Harry Potter book. I'm just looking at the Wikia for McGonagall, and it reminds me that Cursed Child is set in 2020. So yes, McGonagall, in fact, we already know she's teaching 2 years from now still. Or sorry, she's the headmistress.
Can she be headmistress and also be teaching as well?
That seems like too much work, personally.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sign up for that.
They probably have a different transfiguration teacher right now.
Yeah.
Although
I don't know. Was Dumbledore that busy during the Harry Potter books? Maybe he could have taught as well. All right, here's a theory about Leta.
Hey, MuggleCast. This is Denise again. Sorry about that last voicemail. I was just listening to the most recent episode, and Eric commented on the picture that was released, and it said that Grindelwald was in the Lestrange mausoleum. Do you think that maybe Theseus convinced Leta to try to get Grindelwald to host there so that he could lure him in to trap him? We did see Newt and Theseus fighting in a graveyard. Maybe they lured him there to capture him and kind of use Leta because of her name to get him there and to tell him, hey, you can use this area, and then eventually get him and catch him. Just a thought. Bye.
I like that idea. It's a trap.
He seems to be doing quite well with that setup for venue. Even if it were a trap, the hundreds of witches and wizards that are audience members in that mausoleum all seem to, if they're into Grindelwald the way that they appear to be into Grindelwald, they'll probably help him escape. A massive crowd of people is not what you'd consider ideal situations for if you're trying to catch somebody or close the walls, close the snare, whatever that is.
Power in numbers.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool theory, or because why it just seems to make sense to me. And then speaking of Leta, we have this other voicemail.
Hey, MuggleCast. This is Kevin Entwistle from San Francisco, and I'm a huge fan of the show. I've been listening every week for about 2 years, maybe 3. And I just wanted to tell you about a couple of things. The first one is that my current theory for Leta and Theseus's relationship, shall we call it, is that Theseus was in the process of escorting Grindelwald to his cell when Lita came and imperiused him and helped in Grindelwald's escape. I don't know how this exactly fits with Abernathy being supposedly helping, because in my mind, Lita would take the place that you guys have been speculating that Abernathy has. And second thing is that I cannot wait for Cursed Child to come here to San Francisco. I'm sure it's coming, no matter what, because they're not losing this lawsuit. So thanks for talking about that a couple weeks ago. And finally, I just wanted to tell you that I was at a secondhand bookstore today, and I found the British editions of Philosopher's Stone, Prisoner of Azkaban, and Half-Blood Prince. And I think they're first editions, maybe second editions, something like that. But they were $1 each, and so I was like, I'm grabbing this and buy out the store. And I also was able to get Cuckoo's Calling and Silkworm for a really awesome price there too. So just thought that I'd tell you about this, and I hope to hear myself on the show soon. Bye.
Well, you're in luck. First of all, I like how confident he is that Cursed Child is definitely coming to San Francisco despite this brewing legal battle. But I also wanted to ask you guys, do you ever, when you go into secondhand bookstores, do you ever like try to find the Harry Potter stuff to see if you can find anything like special? No, just me?
Yeah, no, I haven't. I got Amazon.
You know, for me, there's a local chain here. Do you guys have Half Price Books? Sam, have you ever heard of Half Price Books?
I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah. So there's one in well, I don't want to give away my secret location in Chicagoland, but every time I go there, seriously, every time I go there, they have a selection of they have a section dedicated to board games. And I have found the original board games that came out before the Harry Potter films. There's a number of them. There's a Sorcerer's Stone trivia game. There's a Mystery at Hogwarts, which is a direct ripoff of Clue. That's Harry Potter. And there's also a game that recreates the 7 challenges of the Sorcerer's Stone like journey. So like the 3-headed dog, etc. There's like 7 mini games in one, and the boxes are decorated like the first Harry Potter book, like the cover of the first Harry Potter book with the, the style, like the very Mary Grand Prix-esque does castles kind of artwork and the circus tent style diamonds. And all of these old Harry Potter board games were there, and I bought 4 of them, and they're all like $10 or $12, and they're in like good condition. All the pieces are there. Insane. Like these old board games that are Harry before Harry was big.
Yeah, you can find some cool stuff. I always open up the Cuckoo's Callings when I see them at used bookstores, because I'm hopeful that one day I'm gonna find one that doesn't have J.K. Rowling's name in it. I already have one of those, I'm proud to say, but like it would be amazing to find another one, because there were so few of them prior to the big leak, the big reveal. Yeah. So if you're ever in a secondhand bookstore, look at the Cuckoo's Calling if you see it there. I saw one a couple months ago in a used bookstore. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna open it. J.K. Rowling's name isn't gonna be there, and it's gonna be worth a lot of money. I felt like I was opening up scratching off a lottery ticket or something, opening up a Willy Wonka chocolate bar.
And then you only won $1.
Right, yeah, it was worthless. Had J.K. Rowling's name in it.
Yeah. What do you think about his theory around Lita helping Grindelwald escape?
I don't buy it because she's with Theseus. Well, yeah, okay. So maybe she's fooling Theseus into thinking that she's on his side, but really she's on Grindelwald's side?
Perhaps.
But why would she get engaged to him? It sounds like an unnecessary red tape of, now I have to extricate myself from this relationship. I don't know. There's still just so many unanswered questions I have about Lita, her possible previous relationship and or feelings for Newt, how Newt feels about it, and this whole Theseus thing. But maybe it's an act. Maybe it is an act,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Any thoughts on that, Sam?
The whole her being engaged to Theseus is very odd when that came out. is there any chance? I mean, I know Theseus is trying to hunt him down, Grindelwald, but could he potentially kind of hear what Grindelwald's saying and agree with it?
Maybe.
Yeah. And we didn't mention this, but at the end of that featurette that we played earlier, J.K. Rowling was like, you might think things are one way by the end of the movie, but really they're not. So I think there's going to be surprises sort of like that. Like what you're alluding to, Sam.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's almost time for chapter by chapter, but first we have another new sponsor this week who helps you eat healthier. They are Green Chef. This is a USDA certified organic company that sends you everything you need to easily cook delicious meals that you can feel good about. And no, Molly Weasley's amazing cooking skills aren't required. Green Chef is a food delivery company for so many types of eaters, and that's one thing I love about them. They have paleo, vegan, vegetarian, keto, gluten-free, omnivore, carnivore meal plans, giving you lots of options. With Green Chef, it's easy to maintain a specialty diet and enjoy exciting new meals. My boyfriend and I have received a couple of the omnivore boxes now, and we've been loving them. First of all, they put the calorie counts right on the recipe card, so you know exactly what you're about to put in you. They don't hide it. They're proud of the nutrition in their food, and that's comforting to me. It shows they really care about the nutrition of their meals. We've cooked chicken salad lettuce wraps, Italian sausages with potato mash, Italian sausage ragu, roasted lemon pepper chicken. I loved all of them, but if I had to pick one that was my favorite, I'd say the Italian sausages and potato mash. They were so good. And it was so refreshing to cook some delicious meals that were healthier than what we would normally make. Normally on the weekends, we're making crap, eating up pizza. With Green Chef's wide variety of organic ingredients, you can feel great about what you're eating and how it got to your table. I want you to try this. Check out their menus. I'm sure you're going to find something you like because they have a range of options. They go from global cuisines to classic comfort foods, all with a signature touch. And again, they cover so many specialty diets. For $50 off your first box of Green Chef, go to greenchef.us/MuggleCast. Again, for $50 off your first box of Green Chef, go to greenchef.us/MuggleCast. Time now for Half-Blood Prince chapter by chapter, chapter 10, The House of Gaunt. Sam, we heard that this is one of your favorite chapters in the series. Is that right?
Yes, it is. I love it. It's so dark, and it shattered what I thought was Voldemort's parents' background. What we learned in book 2 and even book 4, and it's kind of shattered everything I learned.
Yeah, that's a great point. So we're going to start off by creating a 7-word summary. I think you know how this works because you listen. We'll take turns contributing one word to our summary. Sam, you're in a bit of a tough position because you're right in the middle. So,
all right.
You control the direction that it goes in halfway through.
Yep. So, Eric, you're going to start this week.
All right. I will start with the word A.
Memory.
Comes.
Before.
Another.
Memory comes before another. Big.
Dig?
Big.
Oh, big.
B-I-G.
Memory comes before another big. I guess I'm just going to say reveal.
Yeah.
There
It
you go.
fits.
Well, it fits, but I will say that is the worst one we've ever done.
Yeah.
At least the other one that was crazy was funny.
Yeah, exactly. Right. All right. So
I think we need to ban one-letter words.
Ban one-letter words. Interesting.
Oh, why? No, because like the and I mean the is not a 1-letter word, but what are you singling out my first word?
Yeah, that's a total cop-out to go with a you could have come up with a better first word than
No,
A.
it specifies, dude, it specifies singular or plural. I'm like totally giving you guys a gift by that, giving that word. I don't
Sure.
So he's
Don't put me
passing the blame to you.
Took a
Micah.
lot of thought to come up with A.
Yeah, I deliberated for like 15 minutes this morning while I was getting my morning tea.
Okay, I believe
I
you.
prepped. Okay.
So for this chapter, we're going to focus on the meat of the chapter instead of what happens before and after. But that said, at the beginning, Hermione is disappointed that Harry is relying on mystery person's notes still. And it's interesting that she's so by the book, even though she sees Harry having a lot of success while she is not. It makes you kind of... It just speaks to Hermione being so book smart while Harry and other characters in the series like Fred and George are street smart. But Hermione just refuses to adopt the street smart lifestyle.
Furthermore, it says in the book that Harry offers to share his prince's notes with Ron and Hermione, and Hermione kind of doubles down on using the what she calls, quote, the official, instructions. And she's just very, very stubborn about it.
And Ron's excuse is so dumb. It's Ron
Can't read it.
Yeah, he can't read the handwriting.
That's real though. That's real enough. I have trouble sometimes with, you can only read your handwriting or handwriting that's similar to yours. It's the same thing.
Right. But it just really plays into painting him as a lazy character. Like he'd rather fail than try to read the handwriting.
But
Do you think
Harry,
she would,
go ahead.
if anyone else had got the Half-Blood Prince book, do you think Hermione would have reported them?
Probably.
Because Ron, because Ron and Harry, she just lets it slide while complaining to them.
Yeah, because when you're close friends like that, you gotta let certain things like that slide. You gotta look out for each other.
Yeah.
Whereas if, I don't know, Neville had it or something, she wouldn't mind ratting him out. Or definitely somebody in another house, maybe not.
Oh, yeah.
I don't necessarily see it as cheating though, because what's the difference? You're following what's his name, Libatius Borge. You're following what he has written in advanced potion making versus just what somebody else wrote in advanced potion making. So
right.
It's not necessarily cheating. I guess it kind of is, but
it's definitely cheating. It's like if somebody wrote the Scantron answers down, like if you were handed a random Scantron answer form that was already filled out and you're just like, okay, I'm going to go with this.
But it could be like potions, kind of like science, where someone else could have a different approach.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and I mean, clearly it is a different approach, but Hermione still doesn't respect it. Or like Eric made the Scantron example. It'd be like, it is kind of like going on cliffnotes.com or one of those sites where you can just get like the path that you need. Like
you're not doing your own research or making your own conclusions at all.
Yeah.
And even though Harry got like an exceeds expectations in potions last year, he has just zero intuition seemingly for potions and is not making any changes. He's just going off of this, what I would call it cheating.
But he's not allowed to have that book when he takes an exam though, is he? He still has to know what he's doing.
Oh, that's true. That's a
Maybe?
good point.
Yeah. But in many cases, those exams are potions they've already made or studied.
Right, but he still has to do the work to remember how to make the potion.
Right, but if he had already done it the cheating way, then he just needs to remember the cheating way.
I don't necessarily see it as a cheating way. I see it as an alternate way of making the potion.
Yeah.
And I don't see a difference in learning it from... the funny thing is, at the end of the day, he's still learning potions from Snape.
Right.
Yeah.
But one thing that Slughorn said that kind of struck me was that he didn't remember teaching somebody so talented, but did he not teach Snape if he taught Lily?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
And maybe Snape was brilliant, but was so withdrawn in potions that he didn't stand out to Slughorn. I mean, I'd say it's a world-shattering kind of revelation, Micah, that you just asked, because Snape would clearly have excelled.
Yeah.
Maybe he was trying to figure stuff because he did write the Half-Blood Prince book, so he was busy figuring things out and how it actually works. So he wasn't at the time kind of showing off. Harry got the aftermath of it, like the prize of all Snape's work.
Yeah.
But Snape wouldn't have been failing potions in any.
No.
Haley, who's listening live, is sounding off. She says, I wouldn't consider it cheating. The dishonesty comes in when he's getting recognition for his skills without saying where his insight is coming from. That's a good point.
I agree with that.
So, and then just one other point on this scene. Hermione speculates that the prince could be a girl, and Harry says, a woman can't be a prince, which I think I actually even mentioned last week or 2 weeks ago. But it is a bit of foreshadowing, since Snape chose this name because Prince is his mother's last name. That is how, the name Half-Blood Prince came to be. So Hermione actually is kind of right.
Yeah. And before we jump into the memory, I did want to mention Trelawney, because nothing that she says is by coincidence. I think it all has relevance in one way or another, and Harry kind of runs into her on the way to go see Dumbledore, not directly, like he just overhears her. And she has like a sequence of things that she says. It's 2 of spades, conflict, 7 of spades, an ill omen, 10 of spades, violence, and then knave of spades, a dark young man, possibly troubled, one who dislikes the questioner. And these apply to all of the different memories that Harry encounters with Dumbledore and sort of the whole background of Voldemort.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because, like, as a first time reader, you're not really paying attention to any of this stuff, but as you just said, like, nothing is by mistake in terms of Trelawney.
Yeah, especially the one we're about to enter. The conflict is very apparent between Bob Ogden and the Gaunt family.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. This is Harry's first lesson with Dumbledore, and they step into Bob Ogden's memory of an encounter with the Gaunts. Bob Ogden was an old Department of Magical Law Enforcement officer. He is visiting the family to issue a summons to Morphin, who used magic on an unarmed muggle, who we later learn is Tom Riddle, the father of Voldemort. So Tom Riddle Sr. We also learned that Merope had a Merope or Merope? Merope.
It's actually Merope, but I will never not say Merope incorrectly.
Yeah.
So Merope, now I feel weird saying it. Had a crush on Tom and later used a love potion to make him fall in love with her. So we learn a lot of information. This is really a chapter where Harry and Dumbledore are kind of just sitting back and watching, and then they recap everything they learned after back in Dumbledore's office. But the name origin here of Merope is actually interesting too, right?
Yeah, it's very relevant. Something that J.K. Rowling has done a very good job of throughout the course of the Potter series. Merope is one of the 7 Pleiades sisters, and these sisters in Greek mythology were chased down by Orion, and their mother actually asked Zeus to turn them into stars, and it's said that Merope is the faintest of the stars because she was the only one of the sisters to have married a mortal.
That's crazy. I mean, I guess it's not crazy, but it's crazy that you planned it that way.
This is a little bit of a different twist. Merope obviously doesn't marry a mortal. She kind of hoodwinks one in
Muggle.
A Muggle. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But it also could speak to Merope's presumed magical ability as well. Her father calls her a dirty squib, and her magic is very, very faint because of the abusive situation that she lives in, day out, at least for the first part when her brother and father are still living with her. So she also has like sort of a faint magical ability, can't even repair the pot when it shatters, that kind of a thing.
Right. And she's the
Yeah.
odd one out. I mean, that's what I get from this name origin.
Mhm.
So we learned that we're just learning for the first time Voldemort's origins here. He was born from a sham romance. Now, I have a big question that is, serious. It's not funny. Was Tom Riddle Sr. raped?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad we're in agreement about that. Like, it's not the traditional rape that we would think of, but she did take advantage of him against his will.
Yeah. He loses his agency, and he would never do that under his free will.
Yeah. I never really thought of it this way. Like reading it as a kid, it was just like, oh, love potion, haha. But
yeah, well,
it's much more serious.
Yeah, it is more serious, and like it's so odd that it comes from so odd, but also kind of elegant that it comes from such a sympathetic character. You feel bad for Merope when she's being strangled by her father. She's like, "Oh my God, Bob Ogden, do something, Ogden!" And it shows that everybody's capable of great crime.
And you have the victim who is arrogant, snobby, rude, but described as the villagers that way.
Rich.
So
So
it's not clear black and white.
Yeah. Kind of getting to what you were just saying, Eric, is Merope's family lineage partly to blame here? I mean, this is a messed up family with inbreeding, just bad parenting, an obsession with the pure blood line. Can we sympathize with Merope a little bit?
I mean, I feel bad for her, but just excuse her actions.
Yeah. And then also relevant is Merope is just treated so poorly by Morphin and Marvolo that she's turned into a squib. Why do we think that she did this? She clearly had a crush on Tom Riddle, but was she so desperate for some good in her life that she was making someone love her, that she wanted to make somebody love her to find some sort of happiness?
I don't. She probably knows social skills.
Yeah, so she found no other way to do it.
Yeah, the means available to her were limited, and even thinking about when she's pregnant and is devastated by the loss by Tom leaving her. I mean, I don't know. The whole thing is like it's a very, very sad story, because the whole reason that her plan fails or that Tom ever wakes up is because she stops administering love potions. She deludes herself into believing that it's real. She's sort of forgotten that sort of the heinous thing that she's done. And when Tom leaves her, is so devastated that she loses her life, that she doesn't stay. I mean, I'm remembering the scene in I thought it was book 2, but actually it's later in this book at the orphanage when young Tom Riddle, I think, says, "My dad must have been the wizard because my mom couldn't have been because she died," and is equating, magical ability to immortality even at a young age. But in reality, we see his mother, who we later found out was the witch, was just weak and died, and it's because of that she loved this muggle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she wasn't a squib, at least from what we learned. I think it was just repressed magical ability. She was so fearful of her father and probably her brother to some extent that her abilities just were not able to come to full form inside of that house. But if she's able to create a love potion, if she's able to keep Tom Riddle under this spell, clearly she is probably a very gifted witch, and her powers didn't come to be until she was able to finally free herself from that house.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She's also a potential candidate for, I mean, we know she's not an obscurial, but there's something there with repressed magical ability where she could be something like that. Where we know you're not supposed to deny yourself of your magical identity, but she's just kind of abused into not using her magic.
Mm-hmm. But
Yeah, I don't think
go ahead.
Suppression, or if it's she just is scared to use it. Like I don't think she's trying to hide it. It's more of she just can't.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you need confidence in order to perform a lot of different tasks in life, and if the confidence isn't there, like it wasn't with her, then you're not able to do it. So I think that's something maybe we don't really ever think about or talk about much. It's like most wizards and witches, they're confident in their abilities for the most part, so they are able to pull off the magic. But like, you know, Neville in his student years, not exactly very talented. He also lacked confidence, so that could have been a part of it.
Right.
Part of not being
Very
successful.
true.
I have a what if question though. What if Bob Ogden just kind of runs away and doesn't report what happened to the Ministry and send people? Is Voldemort ever born? Is Bob Ogden directly responsible for the birth of Voldemort?
Ooh.
I love that.
No, because correct me where I'm wrong here, but I mean, she was still going to use that love potion on him, wasn't she?
But wasn't she only able to brew it after they left?
Yeah.
So them being
Right.
there, she's not able to.
Yeah, but if there's like a will, there's a way. Like she
That's
must have
true.
desired to do it anyway. She could have gone and brewed it somewhere else, maybe. It's a good
Or
question.
hired someone.
Yeah. It's the timing kind of works out as well that Tom Riddle Sr. was not yet married. I think he was engaged to Cecilia, but not married yet. I don't know if Merope ever would have backed off if he had been married at the time or had one or two children. Like the love potion angle is bad enough, and it is rape. But I wonder if the progression of time, so if Bob Ogden hadn't come back with the Force and arrested Morphin and Marvolo, whether or not she would have been able to use the love potion in time. Whether she would have been well enough, or, you know, and whether she would have actually gone for it. I think she finds herself with a lot of time on her hands and still has this affection and decides to use it, you know, decides to improve her living situation.
Yeah. So Sam, I know one thing you wanted to talk about was Tom Sr. and Merope. Do we blame Tom for abandoning his son? What are your thoughts on this?
I don't one bit. He was raped. That's the main point I have, and the fact that we don't know how these love potions work long term. We don't know if he has memory loss. Did he wake up and there's some chick standing there saying, "Hey, I'm pregnant"? And I mean, and then if we reverse the roles as well, would we blame Merope for not wanting to raise his child that she had through rape?
Right. Well, so do you find that a lot of fans blame Tom?
When I go online, I do see a lot of fans labeling him as the worst dad. He should have stayed there for Voldemort. And it, yeah, according to Rowling, had his mom chose to stay alive, or had Tom Riddle Sr. stayed, Voldemort probably wouldn't have been Voldemort. But sorry, like, I don't blame Tom for skipping out. And then I just think back to like the fourth book where he's described as rude or worse than his parents. And I just wonder, like, could he possibly be suffering from PTSD? He like comes home and it's been months and Cecilia's probably gone, married off, and just comparing love potion to like roofies, you have like isolation, paranoia. I mean, how the heck can this guy ever trust reality again?
Yeah. That's a great point.
Yeah, and knowing that he chose not to parent the child right away, I'm not sure he could have found his own kid if he had decided to go looking. I mean, Merope went to just some random orphanage in London. It's true he has the same name as his kid, but there's no reason he should know that, the dad. And then you never really know what happens to the kid until 16 years later he shows up at your door and murders you.
I was wondering about that because when when Cedric was killed, I don't remember the look of horror on his face being described. Do you think because they described the riddles as having a look of horror on their face, do you think the look of horror was because they're like, wait, who the hell is this kid? He looks just like me. Like the look of horror realizing, oh my God, I did have a kid.
Yeah.
I like to imagine that there's a pretty furtive conversation that happens between.
Oh yeah.
Like he would shout at his dad for a little bit at least. And then when finding out the full extent of, no, your mom legit hoodwinked me, couldn't bear the shame of it and then kind of reacted in a killing. Maybe he killed his dad first and then killed the grandparents. And the grandparents were horror stricken because of seeing their son die.
Because I always thought the horror stricken was just a result of killing curse, but then rereading, I was like, no, wait, it's just those three that had the look of horror.
Yeah.
Sam, do you think Tom was conflicted about abandoning his son though? Do you think he was
I have two thoughts. One is maybe he just didn't believe Merope, and then he comes home and realizes, oh wait, it wasn't one night, it was months. And then he has the thought of, his thought is, if I see my kid, I might be reminded of what happened to me and I might resent my kid. My kid might be better off without me as a father.
That's sad. Should love potions really be legal at all? Is there anything good that comes from love potions?
That's a good question.
They don't seem to serve any helpful purpose.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything and I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that answers
maybe
that
it's
question.
like
Well, it doesn't
maybe
mean
it's
they're
like
not going to exist, though. I mean, there's plenty of potions that probably don't serve a good purpose. They still are made and they're still utilized. Same thing with spells.
Yeah.
But as we learn in this chapter, they can be highly dangerous, and like Fred and George are just selling them in their shops. They go kind of underground with them, but they're still selling them.
And Ron gives it to his nephew in Cursed Child.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which is so weird.
It's like a joke.
Oh gosh.
Did you
yeah,
talk about
just
this?
for a little bit of light fun, light jaunty fun.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about this point that you have here, Sam?
Oh yeah, it was just it's not a clear, innocent girl, big strong man type of situation rape. It is this poor girl who's being abused by her father, and we want the best for her, and we want her to ride off in the sunset with some guy, and this arrogant, snobbish, rude Tom Riddle who is the victim. And I like how Rowling just doesn't make it. She makes us sympathize with the perpetrator and dislike the victim. So we had to step it back and go like, wait a minute, even though this guy is kind of a jerk, he didn't deserve what he got. And even though what happened to her was terrible at home and we want the best for her, what she did was inexcusable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point. So, yeah, I mean, this is obviously a very dark chapter, and talking about it is interesting because, like I said at the start of this, we're observing with Harry and Dumbledore, and like, so once they get out of this scene, they kind of recap everything. And Dumbledore, even going into this chapter, he says, we're going to be doing a lot of guessing here. I don't know if you guys remember what you were thinking the first time you read this, but are we taking the word of Dumbledore as gospel when he's making all these guesses here? We never end up really having any reason to doubt what he says. Everything he says in this chapter checks out, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I tend to believe Dumbledore.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I do too, but I also think that he knows this for a fact. Like, he's already found and destroyed a Horcrux like over the summer, and so this whole premise of this fake, oh, we're entering the joyous realm of speculation, Harry. He already knows. Like, he has already pieced together most of this stuff, and in fact, the whole crux of the later story of needing the memory from Slughorn he already pretty much knows, because Horcruxes are already a banned subject of teaching at Hogwarts, and that's Dumbledore's will that occurs. And so Dumbledore already has a clue. Dumbledore already knows kind of all of these answers, and it's nice that Harry's like he's bringing Harry along for this ride. But these lessons are ultimately just an exhibition of how smart Dumbledore is and how smart he thinks he is, and all the answers are pretty definitive. What's that?
Agreed.
Showing off all the research that he's done.
Yeah, I mean that's bottom line.
It's a very Dumbledorian way to go about the whole thing, because if you really just wanted to know what Slughorn said to Tom Riddle all those years ago, just slip Slughorn a bit of Veritaserum and put an end to it. Like, this is a very long, dramatic way to solve the puzzle, which is just to get the word Horcrux out of Slughorn's mouth. So I just found it. I mean, I enjoy the memories. I enjoy going back and seeing how this all kind of fits together. But Dumbledore does say at the beginning of the chapter that he is, certainly capable of making mistakes, and that when he does, they tend to be bigger, just because of how smart he is. I'm paraphrasing, of course. But what did you think that was related to? Do you think that was related to how he injured his hand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think he's also just talking about how he's doing some really important work here. So his guesswork is related to very important topics. And he better get it right. Otherwise, maybe we can't defeat Voldemort.
Right. I mean, it's certainly telling that we see the ring in this flashback, and then we know that Dumbledore has destroyed the ring by the end of the chapter, and that it has the Deathly Hallows symbol on it. And just given all of the background information that we're now aware of, and Dumbledore's quest for power and Fantastic Beasts and all that, like, it's telling that he would want to wear it. I'm wondering what was going through his mind. I don't know that we ever get that amount of information as to why he put it on, but I think we know enough from just other sources to, he was maybe reliving his good old days with Grindelwald in that moment.
Yeah. You guys noticed they mentioned the graveyard in the opening of this memory?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, just a town. We're approaching this town. Look, there's a graveyard. Look at that.
Do you remember it, Harry?
Yeah, should have picked it out and been like, no, hell no, not that place.
Talk about post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah. It was also interesting to me how family lineage is such a big focus in this chapter, with the Gaunts just like so proudly wearing their origins on their sleeve, being a direct descendant of Salazar Slytherin. It made me want, like, do you guys hold family lineage as close as these guys do? Like, for me, there's always a lot of talk about like these DNA tests to see your origins and stuff like that. Like, I don't care.
Did you ever have any family members that were obsessed with like family trees and like dating back?
Yeah, well, like my dad and uncle to a certain point. I guess it's different when like you're related to a very iconic figure in the wizarding world in this context. But like, I don't know. If like an old president was a descendant of me, maybe I would care a little more.
I think, isn't everybody like 1/60th related to George Washington or something? There's something like that that's like common weird genetic knowledge. But for me, the only ancestor I know about was a surveyor for William Penn, the guy who founded Pennsylvania, which is the state I grew up in.
That's cool.
So that's cool. But I had an aunt that was like did the whole thing, like lots of research, and kind of it came out that Nicholas Skull, I think his name was.
I thought you were gonna say Flamel.
Oh yeah. Maybe I'm related to Nicholas Flamel, you guys. In which case, Crimes of Grindelwald is going to hold a special treat for me.
This chapter also was making me think like maybe Pottermore should do a test where you could find out your Wizarding World lineage. Like, are you a direct descendant of Salazar or Godric or Helga? Like, wouldn't that be cool? I don't know how they would put together a test like that because it would all be made up, but it would still like because it would have to be like a personality test, sort of like these other Pottermore quizzes. But it'd still be cool to like find out your bloodline in the Harry Potter series.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that.
Yeah, we should make that up. I mean, we're all desperate for another Pottermore quiz, right? We need another question in our family or our fandom ID. What's your lineage? So one other question I had about this chapter, and then we'll get into connecting the threads more and MVP of the week and all that. But who's the worst character in this particular story? Is it Merope for forcing Tom to love him and raping him? Is it Marvolo for celebrating his inbred family and for how he treats his children to the point where he scares the magic out of Merope? Or is it Morphin for attacking muggles with no remorse? Like, they've all done really bad things, but who's the worst character in this story, all things considered?
I'd say Marvolo.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Without his abuse, Merope probably wouldn't have done what she did.
And
yeah,
same
and
with
Morphin too.
Yeah. A little bit of discipline goes a long way. Morphin has been allowed to run loose. Like, Marvolo has let Morphin loose on the townspeople, the unsuspecting muggles, like, because he himself despises muggles. It's all about attitude. It's all about being a parental figure. Marvolo is just very much not that. He's operating in some sick backwoods, inbred, power deficient kind of illusion here, and is not responsibly raising these two wizards.
I thought J.K. Rowling did a great job of encapsulating the chaotic nature of this family in just a single chapter. You really look at this family in only a few pages and you're like, wow, these people are effed up.
Yeah.
Almost said that bad word. That's what this family does to me.
Fudged up.
Fudged up. Cornelius fudged up. So, okay, that's interesting. I actually thought maybe a couple of people would have thought Merope was the worst. Because in terms of crimes, like,
yeah,
raping was a crime. But
yeah, no, I think it just speaks to how much sympathy we have for her emotional state or her mental state at the time in which she committed that evil crime.
Yeah. Yeah, they could. Merope and Morphin could have been raised better, but they weren't. So.
I know we touched briefly upon the ring, but I think it's also worthwhile to mention that the locket makes an appearance in this chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all coming together.
I read that and I was like, oh my God, the locket.
See, this is why I was very disappointed with the decision by David Yates and David Heyman to cut these memories from Half-Blood Prince.
Oh, I agree so much.
I mean, we got the orphanage flashback and the Slughorn flashback finally, but this particular one I thought was very telling, and it gives you the entire backstory to Voldemort and his existence, much more so than the orphanage one.
But domestic abuse is just not palatable to general audiences, Micah.
Yeah,
like the movie would have been harangued for this awful scene, which doesn't end. I'm sure it was an easy decision for them to make when they're like, it doesn't directly inform the plot or Harry's story. Anything we need to tell can be conveyed through dialogue. Whereas I want to see this adapted because of how amazingly this scene plays out. Like, I want Bob Ogden to have his own like spin-off movie series. Like, he just seems like a cool dude.
Well,
but
I mean, it could have replaced the scene where Ron falls under the love potion of Romilda Vane and that whole odd series of events.
I think Eric's kind of right, though. Like, they are also trying to make these movies for children, and this would be a very dark scene. I guess they could step around certain elements, but
without the shouting, without the strangling of his daughter by her father, like
Yeah.
what is this chapter really without that?
No, I mean, there's ways you could do it. I mean, you're throwing a 150-year-old man off of a tower at the end of the movie. I'm sure you could find a way to.
It's slow-mo. It was very gentle. It was a gentle
Artistically,
fall.
a gentle
Did he-
pillow.
Yeah, did he even die? I mean, when you're falling that slowly, I think it's a nice landing. Comfortable landing. All right, so connecting a couple threads here. Who wrote these in?
I did. Yeah, we've talked recently about the connections between book 6 and book 2. I found 2 more. One of them is that Parseltongue makes a huge appearance in this chapter. I love the slow realization, when Dumbledore turns to Harry and is like, "You can understand them, can't you?" And Harry's like, "Oh, Parseltongue." Parseltongue, of course, Harry figured out he could speak it in book 2, and it's a big deal in book 2 of everyone thinking that he is the heir of Slytherin. So the finding out that he is not the last remaining descendant of Salazar Slytherin in book 6, in book 2, is coupled with actually meeting the last then living descendants of Salazar Slytherin in book 6. So that's a pretty cool one. This next one might be a little bit of a stretch, but there's on the shack that the Gaunts live in, there's a snake nailed to the door. And I just thought that it was funny that they seem to share the same decorating habits of Salazar Slytherin himself, who adorned the Chamber of Secrets with a snake door. Particularly if you look at the movie version, where the snake is some kind of like a locking mechanism. But yeah, we got snakes on doors, just like the Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, well, it just shows how proud he is of his lineage, I think.
Yeah.
I have one.
Go ahead.
In this chapter, we meet Bob Ogden, and then in Chamber of Secrets, a third of the way in, is the first time we hear mention of Ogden's old fire whiskey.
Oh.
What are the circumstances of that in book 2? Do you know?
I don't remember,
Yeah.
but
What the
a
hell?
little.
That's so weird.
Is it like his brother invented the whiskey or something?
Maybe.
Because Bob Ogden is head of magical law enforcement. Yeah. If
Maybe
his
he got
brother
into
had
the
like a
fire whiskey business after this incident.
You need a drink, Bob. I'm gonna make you some.
I need a drink, yeah.
The drink was a favorite of Lockhart, and he told his second-year Defense Against the Dark Arts class that he wouldn't say no to a bottle for his birthday.
So he's actually imploring 12-year-olds to buy him
Buy alcohol.
Lockhart.
I love Lockhart so much.
Everything is wrong about Lockhart.
Arthur Weasley also insisted on pouring a bit into a cup of tea made for Molly after the riot at the end of the Quidditch World Cup. But
Yeah,
that one
Ogden's is like Tito's. It's just like a well-known, smooth brand, gives a good result. Nice finish. It's the whiskey of the wizarding world.
Well, Ogden decided he needed to make some whiskey to relax people like him who get into terrible situations and need a fine drink at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good connection.
Yeah. That's wild to me. That almost seems coincidental, but I don't know. So MVP of the week, Sam, who is yours?
I went with Ron for always trying to look at Hermione's homework.
That makes him the most valuable person?
Yep.
Huh.
Consistent.
Yeah.
He's consistent. He's true to himself, right? He's not going to do the hard work. He's just going to effortlessly try to. Yeah.
Micah?
I went with good old Bob Ogden. I mean, I can just go on the fire whiskey alone now, but for the role that he played in this chapter, without him, who knows what would have happened? Dumbledore would have had quite a hard time figuring out exactly where to get Horcruxes and how Voldemort was conceived initially. So,
yeah, but you were just giving Bob Ogden credit for creating Voldemort. and you're also calling him the most valuable player. So it's like you're glad that Voldemort existed.
Well, without Voldemort, you don't have the series. So
I don't know. That's still messed up.
yeah,
I'm judging you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Also, Bob is very sharp. A lot of the dialogue here, like you can hardly complain you don't get forewarning about visitors if you are getting rid of the owls that are arriving. Stuff like that is like real smart.
Yeah.
Bob is probably definitely a Ravenclaw.
He also attacks Marvolo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's yours, Eric?
I gave my MVP to Parseltongue because not only the big comeback that I mentioned, but you know, a lot of it really is what's the word? I'm looking for a replacement to trump card because I don't want to say that word.
It's like the new Voldemort.
It's a good way of covertly speaking underneath, like directly under Bob Ogden's nose. So it works on multiple levels as a way for Marvolo to, you know, sort of communicate with Morphin, and for Morphin and Marvolo to antagonize Merope right in front of this stranger without that stranger really figuring out what's going on or being able to know. So I thought it was really well used, and it's nice to see like the resurgence is like in such a good chapter like this.
Mine is Humphrey Belcher for thinking up the cheese cauldron. I freaking love cheese. And I just think, I guess Dumbledore was saying that a cheese cauldron isn't a good idea because it can leak or fall apart, but I would eat that whole cauldron happily. Give me some white cheddar or some Gouda. So thank you, Humphrey, for thinking up such a great idea. They
Thanks,
sell
Humphrey.
chocolate cauldrons in the Wizarding World parks. Why not a cheese cauldron?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Rename the chapter, Sam, and introduce it with Half-Blood Prince, Chapter 10.
Half-Blood Prince, Chapter 10, Riddled with Roofies.
Oh, God.
Oh, straight for
dark.
the gold.
Half-Blood Prince, Chapter 10. It's Morphin time. I feel like we need to play the audio clip here, but
I don't have it. Sorry.
Yeah. I gave mine. For mine, I wrote Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Chapter 10. A cook, the crook, her dad, her lover.
I was kind of inspired by yours, Micah. Half-Blood Prince, Chapter 10, Mighty Morphin Muggle Rangers.
Nice.
Okay, and yeah, so that's Chapter 10, Half-Blood Prince, The House of Gaunt. If you have any feedback about today's discussion or about our next chapter, feel free to email it in, mugglecast@gmail.com, or call our voicemail line or use the feedback form on mugglecast.com. So, to wrap up today's show, it's time for Quizzitch. Last week's question
Yeah.
was, what is the topic of Hermione's essay? What was the answer?
Yeah. The correct answer was the principles of rematerialization. It's the one that Ron is trying to read upside down for insight. But the correct answers were guessed by Umar Parvati, Vaping with Dad, Lizzie, Michael, Sean, Brian, and Andrea. We play this game over on Twitter. You must @reply us @MuggleCast and use hashtag Quizzitch to participate in this game. But it's weekly. You get your name on the show. And next week's chapter, 11 question is, how old is Stan Shunpike?
A little concerned by this Vaping with Dad Twitter handle.
I would have preferred that like the profile name was different than the handle, but nope, both of them are Vaping with Dad, so I don't know who that is. But
Like, I guess that's cool to vape with your dad, but I don't know. Is that something to like make your Twitter name? I don't know.
Yeah, well,
hey, to each his own.
Yeah.
All right. So, like Micah mentioned earlier in the show, coming up in bonus MuggleCast today, we're going to be talking a little more about Crimes of Grindelwald. There's some interesting new information about Yusuf, and there are some new TV trailers to unpack. A couple big curious scenes. They're dropping these little tidbits. So that bonus material will be available at patreon.com/mugglecast at the same time this show is released. Speaking of the Patreon, we have lots of benefits there, including listening live, including being able to co-host the show like Sam did today. Hope you had a good time, Sam, and thanks again for joining us.
I had a great time. Thank you for having me on.
Awesome. I didn't mention this at the top of the show, but I love how you didn't even mention, or you refused to name one of the Harry Potter movies as your favorite Harry Potter movie.
Yeah, that's a first. That's never happened before.
What was that movie again that you said?
Dear Reader, Wizard People. It's the first movie with a guy talking over it. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah, Brad Neely. Brad Neely, Wizard People, Dear Reader. It's awesome.
This is like a documentary.
No, it's a commentary track. It's like a riff track for the first Harry Potter film. Oh, if you haven't heard it or experienced it, we're gonna get together and I'll play it for you.
Okay. I think it's ringing a bell now that I'm Googling it. I jumped to like the idea of a documentary.
Oh,
But,
no,
okay.
it's basically like if you've ever heard Hagar the Horrible. It's kind of
Yes.
The near dead Dumbledore.
like the near dead double and Catface Meowmers, and he renames all the major characters of it's amazing.
Plug the voicemail line one more time, 1-920-3-MUGGLE. That's 1-920-368-4453. We're trying to play more voicemail, so feel free to call in with any questions or feedback. Just remember to keep your message around a minute long and make sure we can hear you clearly. Call us from a quiet space. All right, thanks everybody for listening. I'm Andrew.
I'm Eric.
I'm Micah.
And I'm Sam.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
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 All right, so Sam, you got some time to hang around for this?
Sure.
Bonus Mugglecast shouldn't take longer than like 10-15 minutes, I don't think.
Nah.
Cool.
All right, you want to just take it away, Micah?
Sure. So welcome. Do we need to do like what number it is, or just say bonus Mugglecast?
Yeah, I would just say bonus.
All right. Welcome to Bonus Mugglecast. This week we are going to be discussing Yusuf Kama in kind of a Crimes of Grindelwald roundup, as well as some new TV trailer moments that I think are definitely worth discussing. One related to Grindelwald and Queenie. I know there's been a lot of speculation about whether or not the two of them are going to team up in some capacity. Do we trust Queenie's loyalties? So that scene is definitely worth discussing, and then a few others that popped up along the way. But I want to start, first of all, Eric, you actually shared this with Andrew and myself earlier this week, and I will say, spoiler alert for anybody who's listening, if they don't want to listen to what we're about to say, then I would suggest stopping Bonus Mugglecast right here, because it does get into a little bit of that territory with Yusuf Kama and really who he is and what his purpose is going to be in this film.
I was a little surprised that Eric just like texted us this, because it is kind of spoilery. What were you thinking?
I was not thinking at the time, and you later called me out on it on Facebook, and I was like, "Oh shit, I really did just spoil these guys." I was like, "Wow."
Yeah, I actually didn't mind because I had accidentally seen that on Twitter or something, so I wasn't actually offended or anything. But still,
okay, thank God. It's like,
I feel like we're at the point with this film where I know enough already. I don't need more at this point. Like,
right.
I want to go
and just go see the movie.
Yeah, right.
Have everything cleared up, but yeah, just suffice to say, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. And here we go. So this was an article that was put out by Entertainment Weekly on some new information that was released on Pottermore. I wasn't actually able to track down the information on Pottermore, so I wonder if Entertainment Weekly kind of got this as an exclusive. Some of this information about Yusuf we already know. He's the last male member of his pureblood family line. And the big reveal, though, is that he's made an unbreakable vow to track down Credence. we speculated, I think, on previous episodes that maybe Dumbledore created an unbreakable vow, and that is why he could not go after Grindelwald. But that could still be a very real possibility. However, the unbreakable vow for this series so far seems to be with Yusuf. And my question is, who did he make the unbreakable vow with?
Yeah.
And why? Why do you need to compel somebody to hunt down Credence, like with using an unbreakable vow to do it? Wouldn't he just be genuinely interested in, going after Credence? How many third parties know about this kid that grew up in New York, disappeared in a whiff of smoke, presumed dead? How many freaking people can know that he's not only alive but in Paris? And how and why? It's so messy.
Could Grindelwald have spread the word kind of way?
Possibly.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one clue is that it seems like Yusuf and Tina are working together. And we already know that Tina, I think we knew even a couple of weeks ago that Tina was going to be heading to Paris specifically for tracking Credence. This was even before J.K. Rowling was like, everybody's heading over there for Credence. So I don't know if that provides an extra clue, but presumably Tina knows about this unbreakable vow. Maybe we learn about this through a discussion between Yusuf and Tina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they very much seem like they're on the same side. Yusuf seems like he is a good guy, and I think we've gotten information about him that would lead us to believe that.
Yeah.
My question about an unbreakable vow, and I know this is very timely because we did Spinner's End a couple of weeks ago. Looking at it, the vow seems a little, I don't know. It really only holds one party accountable, right? So if you're thinking back to Snape and Narcissa, Snape's the one who is ultimately going to pay the price, right? If the vow isn't fulfilled, nothing happens to Narcissa as a result of it. So I wonder, like, are these vows really fair? Yeah. They seem very one-sided.
Yeah. It's something that you do. That's an interesting point. And looking at the language that Snape uses, I will, I do, these kinds of things. It is very one-sided. It's kind of something you'd only do if you're trying to gain trust of somebody, or like if Yusuf is a detective for hire or something, whose clients really are serious about him completing his investigations, then I can see him doing that as like an occupational hazard. Like, yes, I will complete this task for you, or I will die trying. Kind of a thing. It raises the stakes so high, seeing as how we think that the unbreakable vow kills you if you break it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it could be possible that Yusuf made an unbreakable vow with his mother, Lorena Kama, who it's also mentioned in this article was taken by an evil wizard called Corvus Lestrange. And going back to all the different people that were mentioned on that sewer wall, we talked about it in prior episodes. He's a half brother of Leta Lestrange. So Yusuf and Leta are related to each other. And then if you go to the other side of that family tree, you find out that Leta actually shares the same father with Credence, but there wouldn't be a bloodline connection between Yusuf and Credence. So I don't know. It's starting to get a little complicated for me.
Yeah, I'm so over my head here.
So Leta is a half sibling to Credence. Yusuf is an uncle to Credence, but Yusuf and Leta are not related. They're like stepsisters or stepsiblings.
So the way that it works, I think, is that Leta and Yusuf share the same mother. Leta and Credence share the same father.
Wow. This some soap opera Days of Our Lives. Yeah.
We're gonna need like, I would love if this script book came with like a family tree, or like a
I hope
connection,
so.
a connection chart, or somebody's gonna have to create one because we're gonna need a way to follow it. It's like in like the Game of Thrones books, don't they put like a map of Westeros or something? We're gonna need
Yeah.
something like that so we can keep track of everything. And by the
Yeah,
way,
so that- Yeah, go ahead.
every time you say comma, I think you're saying COMMA. Yusuf, comma.
Maybe it's Kama, and I don't know.
I don't know,
Or
but it's
come on.
funny. Come on,
Ooh, come on.
come on,
Come
Yusuf, do this unbreakable vow with me.
But I don't think it would make sense for then Yusuf to have made an unbreakable vow with his mother because she wouldn't be Credence's mother.
And she wouldn't want her son to die trying to fulfill her wishes. It's like, it's a real shady thing. Like, why is he indebted to somebody? Like, that's my whole thing, is like, Yusuf is sent on this mission to uncover a member of his bloodline, like his own family. You shouldn't need to compel him to do that with an unbreakable vow.
Yeah.
Like, I would want to figure, if I had some secret half nephew somewhere, I'd probably want to know a little bit about him.
Yeah. So
Just so much.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little challenging to figure out, but
Hopefully the film is actually going to help us understand it all instead of making it more complicated. But I'm a little worried based on what we've heard by like people who have seen it early, just being like, wow, there's a lot in here, that we're just going to get super confused. Maybe Pottermore will release an article making sense of everything.
but what does that mean for Yusuf though?
He might not be long for this world.
What does track down mean? Like, oh, found him at the circus. Vow validated.
Found Waldo.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, I think there's more to come, obviously, as it relates to Yusuf and his story. But there were a couple of new TV spots that aired for the Crimes of Grindelwald. And I mean, I've seen them on TV, but somebody actually went ahead and put a compilation of them online. And I think one of our listeners tweeted at us this link. It's from Becca Silva. And in the first TV spot, there is what appears to be a moment between Grindelwald and Queenie in the exact same apartment. It's at 16 seconds into the video. And she looks very, very hesitant, and she draws her wand. And I don't know, is this just a good bit of editing that's being done, or do the two of them actually cross paths with each other?
I think they're crossing paths. First of all, is this... I need to remember what what's his name's house looks like. Nicholas
Flamel's?
Flamel. This is a Nicholas Flamel's house, is it?
I don't think so.
Okay. But yes, Micah, I think this is the same house. Because you can, when it cuts to Queenie, you can see in the reflection the purple wall that Grindelwald is standing in front of. So, and I mean, it adds up because we haven't seen Queenie with the good guys basically at all, including that one shot we've speculated about before that I keep saying looks like the morning after something happened, and like Queenie is Queenie there or is she not? Now I can't remember.
No, she's not, and she's not
there.
with Jacob at all either in any of these promos.
So she's conflicted. She's considering being on Grindelwald's side, I think. But she's also got the advantage of being able to go into people's heads. So maybe she goes into Grindelwald's head and like really understands where he's coming from and really thinks that he's speaking from the heart, and maybe that moves her. So yes.
Or I would just say maybe he threatens her. Maybe he's able to hold something over her head. Maybe he threatens Jacob or somebody else, and that causes her to have to work alongside him.
Yeah. But this is the hardest evidence yet we've had showing that Queenie is, somehow wrapped up with Grindelwald. I was actually shocked when I saw this scene. I didn't think they would show this in a preview.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's somewhere in Paris.
Yeah, because
Grindelwald
Queenie
makes
is also there to track down Credence.
yeah. Grindelwald makes house calls.
Yeah, apparently. And then,
Sounds-
oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, selling his cause, going door to door.
Yeah.
By the way, that lamp next to Queenie looks like it's straight out of Umbridge's home. It's like it's got a pink lamp shade.
Do you have time to talk about our Lord and Savior, me? Grindelwald canvassing.
And then just in the second TV spot, there were a couple of things that jumped out at me at about 4 or 3 seconds into the overall video. There's this new beast that kind of repulses Jacob. I don't know what it is. It looks like a little lizard that is able to shoot its tongue out.
What's the timestamp?
43 seconds.
It has a little. It's being kept on a leash. There's like a little like a collar and a little leash, and it's attached to. I don't know if
that's the Chupacabra.
Oh,
that's that one that the Funko release was like the first mention we got of it.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's the one that Johnny Depp claims to have caught before.
Fought, yeah.
Fought. Sorry.
Okay. See, I knew you'd have the answer.
Yeah, no problem, Mike. I'm here to help.
There you go. And then finally, at about 51 seconds, there's the scene which almost looks like it's in the same place as where Queenie and Grindelwald were talking with each other or facing each other. It's between Tina and Newt, and he's getting out of his suitcase, and she says to him, "Do you have anything that would help?" And then it flashes at about 51 seconds to the French Ministry of Magic, and the case opens up, and the Zuu pops out, and it looks like it's trying to ward off those. I'm forgetting what they're called. The black. Yeah, there you go. So that Newt and Tina can escape.
Yeah,
I think too. I think they're riding it. I think they're riding on its back. If it when its head goes down, you can kind of see there's somebody riding it.
Oh yeah, I see that
in the next shot.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, Newt's befriended the Zulu, and they're using it to try and get out of the ministry.
They're best friends, and Newt has not gotten away from the practice of using his beasts as weapons.
But right, and I was just going to say that. I mean, here's a good example of how the beast can still remain relevant to the movie. Yeah. Also, that thing busting out of the suitcase is very like Pokeball to me.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah,
just busts out.
Yeah,
right,
so
was that...
those were just a couple things that I noticed. I'm sure there's probably a few others in there that I didn't, but it's worth talking about, especially the Grindelwald Queenie interaction.
There's also a really interesting, like, blink and you'll miss it shot of Lita. She's almost looking like straight into the camera casting a spell. It seems to be in the mausoleum, which we think is at the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. It's at like 52, 53 seconds. It's hard to get the exact timestamp on YouTube.
Yeah,
but
I see it.
It's almost kind of corny because she's looking straight at the camera.
She's basically saying, "Pokeball, go!"
Right.
Choose you.
Yeah. Don't kill my fiance.
Speaking of Pokemon, there's a really funny scene towards the end with Jacob sitting there with a bunch of beasts behind him, and I don't know. It looks like he's watching what's going on somewhere else.
What's the timestamp?
It's about 55 seconds in.
He does look like he's watching a sports game.
Yeah, there's something like sticking out of the suitcase too, on the right side, I think. Or that's just.
I think those are a bunch of moon calves.
Oh yeah, you're right. Does seem to be beasts behind it.
And he's got the augury behind him, and then I forget what the name of the big moose-looking thing is.
Mm-hmm.
But,
right.
And it's all like wet or sweaty.
And then if you go like all the way in the back, there's this weird like glowing green circle in what looks to be. I want to say he's in Newt's basement.
Yeah. And that could just be one of the rooms, like a water tank or something.
Is someone by the circle?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Hard to make out.
But just to kind of wrap up, one other thing that later on in this video, I forget where it is, there's a shot of Grindelwald in the mausoleum, and he's about to cast the spell, and he says the line that we've heard in other trailers, "Will Dumbledore mourn for you?" So he's talking to Newt, and
Ooh.
I just thought that's a telling moment as well.
Yeah, interesting. That's very interesting because it's like that line. What does he say? Dumbledore doesn't care about. Oh, maybe that's the same. Have we heard that line before? That reminds me of something else that we've heard before.
Yeah, he does say the "Will Dumbledore mourn for you" line. I forget where though.
Maybe it was like in the first trailer that came out for Crimes of Grindelwald. Because yeah, I feel like we have talked about that before, but it speaks to his memories of Dumbledore when they were kids and Dumbledore maybe letting him down or something like that.
Yeah, it's at 2 minutes 12 seconds of this conglomeration.
I could pull it up really quick. I'll listen to it.
Or
2:12, you say? I'll start it at 2:10, 9.
Commander, do you think Dumbledore will mourn for you?
Fantastic Beasts.
I know that he won't. He let me down. He's gonna let you down too. Yeah, but I'm not in love with him, Grindelwald. Oh crap.
Yep.
All right. So I think that wraps up Bonus Mugglecast.
One comment here from James. He says, I think Grindelwald might sway Queenie to his side by saying that her and Jacob can be together if wizards didn't have to live apart from muggles.
Ooh.
Yeah, but the two of them could live together even without Grindelwald. It's just, they'd have to relocate
Doesn't
or something.
America have that rule where they can't marry each other?
Yeah, but I mean, Queenie already relocated. The weird backstory that we got from one of the promos is that Queenie already relocated her and Jacob to, I think it's England or something, so that they could be together. And she did some kind of a memory charm on Jacob. So in addition to his memory loss from the first film, like the scene in the bakery where he like kind of notices Queenie is almost like overwritten by this new tragedy that befalls them, which is that she performed a new memory charm on him. He found out, freaked out, and then they split up. So like Queenie and Jacob are broken up in this at the time that this movie starts, according to the written information on one of these EW articles. And that's so extra because it doesn't need to be the case, because they could just not have gotten together again. But the end of the first film, they were like kind of going to get together again. So now they've gotten together and broken up again. But Queenie already relocated her and Jacob to England, where the rules are more lax.
Okay.
All right. Well, yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see everybody next week. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Guys, we should do a I've been thinking about this, like the week before the movie comes out, do like a predictions episode or something like that. But we should try to put some fun spin on it.
Yeah.
Some sort of betting game or something like that.
Yeah. Like what beast will shine?
Yeah,
most...
favorite what will the best character be? Where do we think who will be on Grindelwald's side by the end of this movie?
Sort of like a pre-awards show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think there'll be any shockers at all in this? Because I feel like they're giving so much away.
I know. I think so.
Yeah.
I think J.K. Rowling tweeted or said something about there's one more big thing coming, or you should have seen how Ezra Miller reacted to this big thing that's still a secret. Paraphrasing her, but yeah, they have to keep something secret. Like if Nagini, if they wanted to release the Nagini stuff, there's got to be other stuff to look forward to.
I hope.
Well, I think what she said at the end of that video, right? Or Eric, you mentioned something that she said where, like, if you think
Yeah, things
at
might
the end
not
of the
be
movie.
how they seem by the end of the movie or something like that.
Yeah.
we're going to get tons of answers about questions we didn't even know to ask, but they may also all be subject to change because this is movie 2 out of 5. So the truths we think we know, according to J.K. Rowling, we're just going to get a ton of shit that's going to give us lots of content to talk about. And then by movie 3, things might be a little bit different.
Yeah. Sam, thanks again for joining us. You did great.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for your support on Patreon. Well, appreciate it.
As always.
Oh. Yeah, we'll have this up on Monday, and guys, send over your files.
Yeah, we'll do. Mine is transcribing.
Right, cool.
Good episode, y'all.
Yep. Talk to y'all later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Later. Bye.